Get started. All right. And can you all see my screen? Can you guys see the screen? Okay, perfect. Good, good, good. All right, so your image impact, that is, boy, two loaded words, right? Image and impact. And when we think about this, really what we're doing is finding our voice. And when I talk about voice, I'm not talking about our speaking voice, which is truly part of image, but really what I'm talking about is my acronym, which is becoming the visible, original, impactful, confident, go-to expert in your field. And that's what I hope for everybody here. Surely everybody on this call is an expert, but how do we shout that out? How do we step into who we are authentically, confidently, and consistently, and make an impact that lasts and lasts for the right reasons? So a couple things to think about here. Perception matters, and that's a hard one because a lot of times we just don't want to come to terms with that, but it really does matter. And what you have to keep in mind is that your image is not what you think of you, but it's what others think of you. So, you know, when we think about how we're going to show up and how we're going to present ourselves, you need to think about the goals that you have in mind and who you're trying to attract, and then put this whole puzzle piece together. So visible credibility is a big piece of the puzzle. It truly is. And you see four beautiful, smart, strong women on your screen. And when you look at them, different things pop into your mind. And I'm going to just do something real quick here. So the woman in the bottom right-hand corner, she's got the short cropped hair. I would love if you would put in your chat box, what is the first adjective? So the first descriptor that you think of when you look at her. Don't overthink it, just the first word that comes to mind. Let's see, beautiful, leader, powerful, experienced, smart, confident, efficient, confident, competent, executive. Okay, perfect. All right, let's move over to the woman in the bottom left-hand corner. And she's got the long hair and the straight top on. What's the first word that comes to mind for her? Student, okay. Approachable, student. Confident, authentic, student, happy, enthusiastic. Okay, perfect. All right, let's move up to the upper left-hand corner. Gray suit. First word that comes to mind. Unsure, confident, smart, professional, timid, quiet, businesslike, timid, hesitant, serious. Okay, this is interesting. All right, let's move on to, I got it going on, I love it. All right, upper right-hand corner. She's got her hand on her forehead. Fun, confident, bubbly, relaxed, gorgeous, fabulous, joyful, exuberant, fun, energetic. Okay, do you guys see what just happened? Simply by seeing a headshot or a branding photo, you attached words to somebody. Not only did you attach words to somebody, it's so funny, Sherilyn says, we are all judgy. No, you're not judgy. This is first impressions. This is reality. This is reality. Now, if I said to you, one of the people in this picture, in these four pictures, is your new attorney for a criminal matter, who are you going to pick? Just, you can use short hair, stripes, gray suit, fun, because we all think the woman is fun up top. Gray suit, bottom right, short hair. Okay. What if I tell you that the person that is the attorney is actually the woman in the striped shirt, the one that you all said was a student? How do you feel about that? So she walks into the courtroom dressed the way that she is. No way. She's young, unsure about her ability. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? I would want to get to know her. You don't have time to get to know her, Stella. She just showed up. She just showed up. Depends on where I see her. You're seeing her for the very first time in the courtroom dressed like this. Yeah. We have room to expand our perception of what an attorney looks like. You're right. And that is a valuable piece of information and feedback. But the problem is, or the challenge is that first impressions happen very, very quickly, and they stick with us. They stick with us. So the only reason I did this exercise is for you to get an idea of what's happening. This happens every single day, whether we want to have it happen or not. And what's happening is that when people visit you on LinkedIn, which we all know that LinkedIn is the platform where most of us are doing business and networking, you have to be really cognizant of what you're putting out there. So no attorney would wear that to a courtroom, says Lee Moss, the attorney. And that's exactly what we hope, because it would make us all feel better. But what if you did? It doesn't make us feel confident, and we don't feel confident, we lose trust. We lose trust. So that's why visible credibility is so vitally important, because we have to be able to trust that when we see you, when we meet you, whether it's in person, online, in a video, that you really are the solution to our problem. That's what we're looking for. And that's what visible credibility brings to the table. All right, there we go. Okay, so I have an image impact assessment that I share with people, and you guys are welcome to take this. I've got a link at the end of it. But I think I've got over 400 people that have responded to this now. These are some of the questions that I've asked. And one of the questions is, do you even understand what to wear to maximize your impact? And an overwhelming percent of you only say sometimes. And that's not good enough. I want you guys to be able to know what to wear all the time. It takes time to get to that place, but you can see that if you're not feeling impactful and empowered, you may not be getting the confidence yourself or generating that confidence from somebody else. So going back to the woman in the striped shirt, she may just not have ever even figured out what she needs to wear to breed confidence in other people. Okay. Your current wardrobe makes me feel empowered. Again, only about 57% of people surveyed said sometimes. Again, just not enough. Now, this is a curious one. I've audited my wardrobe in the last 90 days. Now, we all know that things have changed over the course of the past, almost 2 years. But auditing your wardrobe every 90 days with your new goals in mind and your seniority in mind is really helpful. I know that we've got some people on here that are newly retired. You don't need in your wardrobe what you used to need, right? So you want to look at your wardrobe and see what now makes sense for you. You know, and another thing that you guys can think about is, how much time do you spend doing each activity in your life? And then your closet should mimic that. And that will give you more confidence too. A lot of times people tend to buy a lot of things for when they're not working, and very, very limited amount of things for when they are working. But really, if work is, a majority of your life, and that's where you spend the majority of your time, why not treat yourself to things that make you feel impactful and empowered? It will up your confidence, hands down. Okay. You want to lead to advance. You've got to hone your brand so others can see, hear, and remember you as a thought leader. Set yourself up for advancement. So what does this really mean? It means that you need to take originality and opportunity and just take advantage of that. What are you doing to, you've got this visible credibility, you know what you want to do, but what are you trying to do to be original? How are you impacting people by simply walking into a room, or simply posting, or getting on camera? So some of the questions that I've asked in the past are you even posting 3 times a week on LinkedIn? Again, we've got one of the, premier LinkedIn gurus, heading, as one of the heads of this group. Posting 3 times on LinkedIn is a minimum for networking in these times. I would love to see you guys step up and do that. Another question. Currently, well, let me go back to this for a minute, because only 80% of people are saying no, they don't do that at all, which means that there's a lot of room for you to step into LinkedIn and be a voice that's consistently heard. And when you're a voice that's consistently heard, that's when opportunities arise, right? So you're very original in your thoughts. Nobody has thoughts like you. Nobody shows up like you, but we've got to see that. And there's no better platform to do that when it comes to B2B than LinkedIn. So show your originality in those posts, Show your originalities by writing blogs or LinkedIn articles. LinkedIn's got newsletters that's going to be rolling out to a lot of people in the coming days or the coming weeks. Take advantage of that. Let people see your originality. And don't forget about podcasting, webinars, video. That's something that is hugely a strong indicator for you. And then when you share those things on YouTube, YouTube is a very big SEO driver. That is where, again, people are going to be able to, when they Google you, which they will, they're going to come up with maybe some YouTube videos. They're going to come up with your LinkedIn profile page. Usually LinkedIn is maybe 1, 2, or 3 on a Google search. All these things play in, right? So your originality that you're going to show, whether it is in the copy on a LinkedIn post or by hosting a webinar or writing a blog or showing up on video, that's what's going to create opportunity for you. So now you've got your visible credibility in place. So when people meet you, they know exactly what to think about. We're going to do an exercise here in a minute that's going to help you out with that. So you've got your visible credibility, you're showing your originality. Your originality is creating opportunity, but you've got to do the work. You've got to do the work so that people can make sure that they find you, so that you're the go-to expert because they find you, right? Keep top of mind. Okay. What is keeping you? And again, let's chat about this. Let's grab the chat box real quick here. And what is keeping you from stepping up to or creating new opportunities? Why are you not showing up on LinkedIn? Or why are you not hosting your own webinars? Or why are you not jumping on video? I'd love to hear. Let's take a minute and talk about that. Time and other priorities, new role and trying to get my foundation, busy schedule, no time. I hear this a ton. It does take time to step in and do these things. So, it's one of those things, the cart before the horse and the circle that never ends. It's how much time do you dedicate to this and what are you going to get out of it? I will tell you, boy, businesses can be blown up by the interaction and the activity and the creativity on LinkedIn. It is hugely beneficial. Brenda says often people say it's because LinkedIn is a job search site, which yes, people search for jobs on LinkedIn, but really what it is one of the most prominent B2B business platforms that you could be on. It really is so incredibly strong. So I find the focus on self a challenge. You are not alone in that. Many people find that a challenge, but if you are not talking about your business and you're not talking about your expertise and your credibility, who is? And especially if you're a business owner or you're a leader within your company, you really owe it not only to yourself, but to the people that you serve to be visible and findable and to share your thoughts. We want to hear that. I love nothing more than when people share a post about celebrating something. I think that's so great. Or they share a video with 3 tips to communicate better or 3 tips to, learn how to process payroll, whatever the case may be. What you want to do is be able to share your expertise. And in order to do that, you have to step out of yourself. You've got to remember that you have got to be impactful. Okay. All righty. Moving on. Maybe, as the button does not want to work. Here we go. All right. Your I am statement is your instant message. This is your mantra, if you will, okay? This is how you want to be remembered, how you want to be viewed, how you want people to remember you. So for instance, if you step into a room and then you step back out, again, what's that 1 to 3 words that you really want people to remember about you? And they're descriptive words, right? They're adjectives. And I want you to think about not only what you want to be known for, but what does your audience need from somebody in your profession? Do they need somebody creative? Do they need somebody detail-oriented? And what do you bring to the table, right? So I would love for you guys to take 30 seconds, and I will tell you, this is a longer process than 30 seconds. finding your I am statement takes a bit of time, and it takes some self-discovery and determining why those words are important, and are those really the words that are going to get you to where you want to be, or are they frivolous words? And sometimes that happens. So without further ado, let's go ahead and write in the chat box, what word, I'll let you have 3 words, what 1 to 3 words do you want people to use to describe you? Okay. 1 to 3 words. This is just a beginning. I guarantee that you guys are going to go home, think about it, and there might be some changes. Now, these are descriptive. So LinkedIn is a great word, but LinkedIn doesn't describe you. Okay. Capable, accountable, intelligent, marketing goddess. Marketing is not a descriptor. So we want wise counsel, engaging, kind, helpful, experience, sincere. Okay. Approachable, reliable. Good. Smart, trustworthy, fun. So what's cool about these words, right, is that there are 7 style categories, and we don't have time to go into them now, but there are 7 style categories that elicit different words and really kind of match up with different professions. Now, we know that the world is changing and things are kind of fluid when it comes to how we're presenting ourselves and what the thought process is. And that's great. That's actually a good news story. But there still are some guidelines that can help us to figure out where we fit in and how we can elicit those reactions from people, and really take the conversation, this silent conversation, which is really what your first impression is, that silent conversation and that silent message, and manipulate it, if you will, or guide it so that we are getting the feedback that we want. Okay. So for instance, if I wanted people to think that I was really sweet and just sweet and soft-spoken, I would not show up in a wine-colored faux leather jacket. I just wouldn't. No one's going to think that of me, first off. I don't think that's probably the first word that came to mind. And even though that those are great words, they're not my words. They're not my words. Now, could I take off a bold necklace and put on a set of pearls and tone it down? Absolutely. Could I take this jacket off and simply put on a softer fabric and a softer color and maybe step into those words a little bit more? Absolutely. So you can utilize clothing and your appearance to help you generate the words that you're hoping that people think about you. And this is not playing dress up. It's letting your authentic self be seen. It's letting people look into how you feel about yourself and get the visual cues to see and feel that themselves. If we're not giving them any clues, if we're not giving our audience clues as to who we are and what we're all about, we can't be angry when they don't come up with that on their own, right? It can be really, really confusing, okay? Brenda, I love your leather jacket. Where do you get it? I need a new one. All right, here's my little secret. So I'm a plus size woman, trying to not be a plus size woman, but I'm okay with it. But I did start working out, so we're shrinking. So that's a good news story. That's a fun story for me, and I want to share that out loud so that I continue to do good things for myself. But Eloquii, if you are a size 14 women or above, has some really great, cool, unique stuff. So lots of faux leather jackets there. So anyway, so let's move on from that. But I hope that you guys are understanding where I'm coming from on this. So your visible credibility is showing what you're all about, but you have to figure out what you're all about to begin with, right? Showing your originality online and in pictures and on camera only works if you're really truly showing who you are, right? So if the woman in the striped shirt is a high-powered attorney and she's showing up like a college student, she's doing a disservice for herself. And she's doing a disservice for her clients because her clients don't believe her. They don't feel comfortable with her. So she's missing out on clients. Clients are probably missing out on a fantastic attorney. There's just so much of a gap that it just doesn't work. So your responsibility is to close that gap. And it may be that you're closing the gap because now you're deciding that I am who I am and I love how I show up and I rock. And for some reason, I'm not attracting these people over here. So you decide that you've got new people that you're going to attract, and that's okay. Then there's going to be some of you that are saying there's a wide gap here and I can't move these people unless I move to them. And that's okay too. And then most of you are probably going to be right in the middle where you just need a little bit of a shift. And maybe your audience needs a little bit of a shift too, because when they see you shift, they shift to you. So, closing that perception gap is highly, highly important, but it's up to you to determine how much you are willing to move yourself and how much you need your audience to move. And by asking your audience to move, it may be that you need a new audience, and that is okay. All right. Any questions out there? I know we're going to do questions afterwards, but if you have a burning question, I'll try and answer it as we go, or we'll circle back to it. Okay. Here is just a gut wrencher. I'm confident about my first impressions. Only 35% of women say yes. Only 35%. That just makes me sad. I want you guys all to be confident about your first impression. When it goes to digital first impression, it's even lower. It's even lower. And I know that we got thrown into this, but now it's been a couple of years ago. And it's really important that we get that digital first impression up and running. And part of that is updated headshots and branding photos, which is the last one here. And, only 42-ish% said that they've got updated headshots and branding photos. And I will tell you by experience that sometimes what we think is updated and relevant no longer is, even a year later. So that's something that you really need to keep on top of, okay? All right. I want you guys to open doors. I want you to let people in to see what makes you special. Let them experience you. That's what this is all about. That's why visible credibility is so important, so that you have the opportunity to pull these people into you, so that you have the opportunity to build your business or get the raise or leave the job that you don't want to work at anymore to start your own business. When you step into who you are, when you really find that voice and become a visible, original, impactful, confident, go-to expert, boy, doors will open. You will see a huge, huge change. Okay, let's talk about credibility and charisma. How many of you think you have it and that you show it on a daily basis? Competition is really tough. It's really tough. You've got to set yourself apart from the competition, and you have to make sure that that message is confident and clear and consistent. And here's the most important part: across all platforms. So that means when we meet you in person, we need to see it and feel it and remember it. When we see you in pictures, we need to see it, feel it, remember it. When we see you in video, when you show up here in our little Brady Bunch box, we need to see it, hear it, and feel it. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. Let's go back to LinkedIn and making sure that you're posting at least 3 times a week. Consistency. And I know for a lot of you, it's a time factor. It's a time factor. And sometimes what you have to do is you have to get help from somebody else that can take that off of your plate, because not having it and not networking on a platform like that can be money literally out of your pocket and into your competitor's pocket. Okay. Remember, you're a billboard for your business. You're a billboard for your business. And what do billboards do? They capture our attention right away. They help us determine if A, we're going to reach out right away, B, that we're going to remember and either refer somebody else or go to them at a later time, or C, if you don't do a good job with the billboard, you're forgettable. You're forgettable. And the world is too crowded to be forgettable. Okay. So expertise is the last category that we really want to talk about. And again, like I said earlier, you guys are all experts, but we need to see that you're an expert. So what can you do about that? You can write a book. I have this little tiny tip book. Here it is. Oh, it's over here too in my picture, but this little tiny tip book. Really, how I wrote this tip book was looking at what I had already written. I had already written in posts, I had already written in articles and blogs, and I disseminated the information, I recategorized it, and now it's a credibility piece that I can share with all of you. It's a credibility piece for when I do, other speaking engagements, it's back of the room sales. It's a credibility piece that goes with me. It shows that I've taken my own thought leadership and taking it seriously enough to put it out there for the masses. This on the top here, this was when I was doing a lot of speaking in person. This was a banner that I had on LinkedIn so that people could see me in a place where I wanted them to see me. So your LinkedIn banner is highly important. Make sure that it represents who you are and what you do, and give us some information about how to reach you right away. So whether it's a phone number or a website or an email address. The other day I saw somebody actually had their, the QR scanner, they had that on there. So I thought that was interesting. So make sure that you're doing that. Down in the lower corner, this is now called something else, but I used to have a video, what do I want to say, like a vlog, right? A video blog. And I did interviews called Who's Who and Two. Now it's just called Who's Who, but where you're interviewing people, that you're sharing your community with others. It doesn't have to be this highly produced, highly, technical endeavor. It can literally be you on Zoom having a conversation with somebody that you think that your audience would enjoy meeting. And what that does is that it introduces your audience, right? It introduces you to that guest audience. It shows your thought leadership. It shows your personality and your originality, and it lets you stand out. And then what about references and referrals and testimonials? Can we find those? We need to be able to find those. So if you go into my LinkedIn profile and you go to testimonials or recommendations, it's called on LinkedIn, you're going to see a whole slew of recommendations where people are talking about their work with me or their experiences with me. I highly recommend that you start doing that. It's huge. It's huge because once it's on LinkedIn, that shows it's a real person. You can put those other places, and then you can link those. Like for instance, Dawn, I'm sure a lot of you know Dawn Pateau. She's very active in Inforum. So I could share that testimonial, and then I could link Dawn's name to it so that it has more credibility. But this shows your expertise. All these little steps show your expertise and also build your credibility. Okay. So I know it's a lot of information. We have a short amount of time. What are the takeaways that you are getting from what we just went through? And what are the burning questions? Let's do the takeaways real quick. Just go ahead and put those in the chat box.
Karyl, if it'd be okay with you, I'm going to stop the recording now. That way we can have some candid conversations about the questions that are coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for our Facebook community for watching. I'll be posting this on YouTube a little bit later on today. Just a reminder to please leave a comment as you're watching the playback.